Improvisation is many things, but at its simplest, it's a creative working out of solutions to problems or opportunities that are presented to you in sometimes surprising, unorthodox ways. It's not just for performers of the arts. Everyone does it, and it's a constant part of life. Finding the correct thing to say in awkward social situations, finding the right note in a piece that you don't know, listening and paying attention and learning how to respond. How does it work? What can you do when you're placed in a situation where you must improvise? What might constitute a good improvisation? How might I go about doing it? It seems to me that all improvise can be accomplished if you just realize it's going to happen to you eventually. Perhaps not right now, here, but soon enough. And so you can think about some of the steps to do it. And here are some good ideas. It's a misconception and a kind of contraindicative notion that you cannot prepare to improvise. But I would tell you that everyone, everywhere, is preparing to do improvisation all the time. I have a number of friends who do improv comedy or improv theater, and one of the first things that they tell me is the first thing that you must do if you want to do this kind of work is observe everyone and everything. Every comedy improv artist observes the character that they're watching. They're looking for insights, modes of address, manners. What do they wear? Speaking traits. And so consequently, one of the first things that you need to do if you are going to improvise, and remember, all of you are going to do this at some point, is you need to listen. You need to listen to what is being spoken back to you so you can learn to respond. You must listen to as much jazz music as you possibly can if you want to be a jazz guitarist. You must listen and catch the next event line that might come up. Listen to the chord changes. Listen to the type of melody. Listen to the color and shape of the room to try and match the tone for your solo. And all of this is kind of leading towards learning essence of style. If you're, again, an improvisational actor, and you want to step on a stage where there's a Victorian scene being acted out, you should know how Victorian actors speak, right? Or maybe you've gotten in a time machine and the Wayback Machine has been set to 1860s London. This will help, yes? Style can be quite a lot of this kind of stuff. Some of this can be done in terms of making beer. If you're making a Kolsch beer and you forgot the kind of yeast you're supposed to have for that, can I substitute something else? Can I improvise? Can I go down and get a lager yeast and make it work somehow or another? Through all of this, what you end up doing is you end up accumulating lots of tools and quite a bit of knowledge. You can read about it. You can go watch other people do it. Much to the chagrin of my wife, Mitzi, it may mean that I need to go to ESP tomorrow and buy a new bass. I'm sorry, Mitz. But all of these kinds of things are then going to set you up to be able to go and do the kinds of things that you need to do. If you know that you're going to be placed in awkward situations in your future, one of the things you can do is you can practice with somebody who's trusted and say, let's try and talk about what I might have to say if my boss calls me in and asks me to do something I'm not qualified to do. Or my boss calls me in and wants me to go fire somebody for him or her. How do I go about do this? I can practice on my dog, and who will agree with me, yeah? And still smile, which is a wonderful thing. And the essence of this last part of this preparation is practice. This is a most excellent, very large, and very necessary part of this. Practice slowly. Learn by rote, then turn it around, turn it upside down, play it backwards. Practice falling. Very importantly, practice failing again and again. Learn recovery from failure. Practice grace, unflappability. Learn and practice motivic modular riffs and constructions to help build bigger buildings, better red sauce, better beer. Learn how to create unimaginable situations to which you find oneself. Practice being in those situations. Practice repetition again and again. Identify a goal and practice reaching it. And of course, practice victory. However, one of the other things that's most necessary for being able to be somebody who is good at improvisation, or at least comfortable in this, is to overcome fear. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the toughest part of this. Frank Herbert writes in his magnum opus Dune, fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. And this is so often the thing that stops any improvisation from happening. Fear of failure, fear of foolishness, fear from a lack of preparation. Fear from the being just different from the world that you know around you. Blessed are they who know no fear, for them some bitches can do anything. All jesting aside, nearly all of us experience fear when confronted with an unexpected situation in which we must perform. Even those situations where highly prepared musicians often feel a kind of frisson when they get ready to stand on the stage and do their solo, or when something goes wrong that can be crippling in the moment and can prevent confidence in future performances or recordings. Personally, my way of handling this is just to completely push fear to the side and just get on with the job at hand. If it's musical improvisation, like you heard me do a few moments ago, all I've done is just face my internal naysayers, prophets of doom, physical tremblers, manifestations of procrastination, and then step forward into limelight and just do it. And I believe this is where Nike gives me new shoes. I cannot ameliorate the fear. I can't really make it go away. It's here as I'm standing here now. So I just open the door and walk into traffic. However, there is another viewpoint on this that I absolutely adore. Fear should not be presented as something that is a negative, but as a possible positive. Mary Hines, noted teacher and performer extraordinaire with the Second City Chicago, writes, fear is a gift. Fear is an indication of contrast, and contrast is a manifestation of opportunity. In this moment of action, when you're standing here performing, you're in a situation where you're talking to somebody that you don't know and you have no clue what they're going to respond, this advice pays off goldenly. This is where you can make the fear work for you rather than cripple you. And this is where preparation and training really pays off. Turning back to the Herbert quote again, as written above, it's only an excerpt from a litany in one of the groups in the novel striving, like everyone else in the novel, to take over the universe. The Bene Gesserits use an entire pedagogy to train their disciples and their missionaries, sending them out into the world to spread their message, and this litany was to be chanted, oftentimes silently in the moment, to help combat fear. And so here is the whole. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit to pass over me and through me, and when it is gone, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. And where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Acknowledge your nerves. Prepare to use them and move beyond them. Open the door they guard and mount the stage. Everyone must develop their own strategies for managing this fear, to overcome it rather than being overwhelmed by it, and therefore not being able to work into getting on stage and doing it. How might this be accomplished? Again, beginning of my whole statement, I talked about preparation. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Prepare for situations you don't think that you're going to ever be involved in, right? You're going to outer space, you're setting up a new colony on the moon. Did you bring enough pairs of underwear, right? I'm afraid of that. Remember this, every time you put yourself in a situation, they're looking for success from you. Right now, even though I'm scared to death, I know that you guys want me to succeed. And that comforts me in the biggest way possible. Two other things that happen when people are trying to combat fear is they will often think about the situation that they're going to be in and think about it in every way possible. What are the possible parameters that I can do? Here's perfect success, here's perfect failure. Everything in between is possible. And they will think about it. They'll meditate on it. They'll go someplace calm. I've already told you how I work on this. I just push it aside and go on. It happened today. I'm the last person on the stage. I got to watch everybody else's talks, and the fear mounts, and the fear mounts, and the fear mounts. So there were often times when I would go outside and I would look at my home Bitterroot Range, and I would take pictures, and I would walk up and down the halls, and I would do everything I could to distract myself. Oftentimes, as a musical performer, I want to go right up until the moment I perform, and so I'll play cards with the stagehands. They've taken quite a bit of money from me in this respect, right? Also, don't overthink the improvisation. You've done the preparation. You've done the work. You've managed your fear. Breathe. I love the idea of breathing in on a 5 count and then breathing out on a 10 count. It's amazing what a little bit of oxygen will do to your brain in calming oneself. Right? Then you step into the light. You listen, and then action. It's happening. You're there. Now what? Again. Listen. What's going on around you? What is the person in front of me saying? What do you mean I don't have enough garlic for this? How do I fix that? Think. Maybe there is an answer to this. Maybe there is a response I can do. And then choose, and choose quickly. Respond. And all 5 of these things that I've just mentioned go by very, very, very quickly. And you'll be surprised to know that you're able to make all these decisions quickly and easily. And again, trust your body. You've spent hours and hours and hours and hours playing scales, learning where to put your fingers. Your hands know what they're doing, even if at this point, fear is trying to kill your mind. Trust your hands, right? And last but not least with this, you've got to play. You have to let the moment happen, and you must physically just let the moment happen and play off of it. And I don't mean necessarily physically playing the guitar. I mean, have some fun with it. Dance with it. Play with it. Let go. Let your preparation and your body do the things it already knows how to do. Lather, rinse, repeat. Tomorrow, next month, and as often as needed. For many people, this doing part is actually proving to be the easiest thing. You're in this situation, you can't avoid it, you're there, you have to go. But this part can also cycle back onto you and become fear yet again. Perhaps it isn't going well. Perhaps I'm making it all worse. I'm falling on my face, I'm hitting every note except the correct ones, and this happened, and it might happen a lot. In public, on air, right now at this current talk, oh dear God, I bet it's happening right now. But if that's the case, breathe, listen, reassess. And remember Mary Hines' quote. It can be modified in this way. Failure is a gift. Failure can be an indication of contrast, and contrast is a manifestation of opportunity. Recommence with confidence, gusto, and verve, and keep going. And if it continues to be hard or difficult or less than desire, remember the immortal Winston Churchill's quote, if you're going through hell, keep going. Improvisation is a great means of learning, often in the very moment of creating, substituting, performing, squirming, building it right on the spot. And indeed, a failed improvisation can be a great or one of the best teachers. But this lesson can best be internalized if you continue to repeat the basic act of improvisation, often trying new things, tweaking, and taking as many opportunities and chances to do so as you possibly can. The experience of improvising can be like a roller coaster ride, or a complete and utter microscopic focus, or a sense of utter calm, but it can also be a feeling of complete and bustling joy. But you ought to prepare for it, and you must overcome any fear or doubt, and you must take the step to stand on the stage, must step into the conversation, must choose to dry hop your wort, or not. You must choose to add flying buttresses to the new basilica you're designing, and add solar panels to the roof, or to add 15 more cloves of garlic to the spaghetti carbonara. Improvisation, it's a skill, a talent, an opportunity, and one that is necessary for life. Embrace it, learn to love it, and prepare for those times when you must do so. Step onto that stage and do it, regardless of your uncertainty. The rewards can be great. You know, make it up as you go along. Thank you.